Hey, what's happening, everyone? Aaron Jackson with the Rotation Report here. This is the closing bell. I don't know, whatever we want to call it. Boy, wild week out here, isn't it? A lot of damage picking up. Basically, the worst case scenario. What do you think? Do we have a taco on the weekend, or has that way too familiar? Because I feel like this sets up for not a taco, and then no headline, and then Monday is ugly, and then maybe we get something on Tuesday, and so we might as well just get into it here. A little washout maybe, but bigger picture. We're gonna go start with Nasdaq 100 versus metals. And by the way, if you guys have anything you want to talk about, just throw it in the chat. Down to talk about whatever. It's hard to keep up with everything. Hell, the more eyes on this tape, the better, right? So, but here we got Nasdaq 100 versus metals, basically reversing on the weekly, right where we would expect it to. Yeah, you want metals over the indices, it appears. Still love the inflation trade. It just looks like the place to hide. Does it mean things go up? No. One thing I did mess up earlier this week was networking stocks. So the networking, big beneficiary of the drones and all that. Actually, there's been a divergence here. We do kind of think, in time, 3,500 is the target, but a nasty little divergence in this recent high earlier this week did not get overbought like we'd like to see here. So this thing could be at risk, especially as we've got that kind of data center trade at risk here as OpenAI cut back on Sora. That could be a problem. So it just they use a lot of compute in the AI video, and now you're using it for the other things. So could be the beginning of the end. There's all sorts of news going on out here. But the crypto, big development in the crypto here. Solana losing that average price off of this February low here today. So we would kind of expect crypto to follow through lower over the weekend into Monday. And then here's the semi index. You can see kind of a bearish wedge formed here. Nasty rejection at the 50-day on Wednesday. And now we're gapping lower. Maybe get a couple days sell off, an ugly Monday into turnaround Tuesday, maybe 6,700, 6,680, something like that. We'll see. Yeah, and then if we're just playing off the Fibonacci extension zone, well, guess what? You had the top here in February, and things really go to shit. Well, then you're looking at, oh God, is this the volume's not working? Oh no. Oh my God. Hold up. Testing. Oh, we do have it. 1, 2, 3. Fuck my life. No idea if this is working. Interesting. Not great. It seems it should be working. How do we find this out? Everyone left the stream. I'm assuming. Mic check. Ooh, I don't know. It might just be down. Oh, God. All right, one moment. Well, let's see how it works. Let's see if we can do this. Oh, it's working. All right, cool. Anyways, next up, yeah, so maybe 5,200 in stocks, but for now, looks rough. And then S&P 500, so 6,150, something like that. That's an interesting zone. And you can see like 50% of stocks above the 20-day and 50-day kind of washed out, but we could use a little more to get a real nice little washout here. Saw no progress with this week with all the Trump headlines and all that. So, we'll see. You look at the shit growth, the small cap growth, that they are going to get sold relentlessly here. And we've got Ionic, the quantum play. Basically, we're looking for 18 to 20, something like that. This little zone down here, you want to say the shit growth is done getting sold? Well, this is one of the worst stocks in the market over the last half year or so. And, you get down to about 20 or so in Ionic. That's when we start saying, maybe shit growth is done going down. And then here's SanDisk. I tell you, a lot of these semi-component plays, they look just like this, right? You have that little fake breakout, and you're like, oh, it's done. It's done. Nope, it's not done. It keeps going up. But we're now like 4 or 5 months into that. So maybe people are conditioned, SanDisk, it's like the memory card of choice, apparently, for drones, whatever. But if the AI trade is falling apart here, we'll see very shortly, does this follow Micron? You tend to think it will here, 500 next up, pretty short order, wouldn't be surprising. And then, boy, China Tech, don't like that. Look at that thing. Good God. Just completely breaking down here. The worse this gets, the more likely, I believe, China is to act on Taiwan. The more screwed they are, the more screwed they're going to be like, screw everyone, right? We'll see about that. It's getting pretty bad here. Pretty bad. And then if we're looking for another maybe timing indicator like refiners here, we've got crack with a very nice confluence. 1-2% away here, couple percent. You get a gap up Monday. And is it the global economy is screwed? Is everything just screwed? And then that would be your reason for the refiners to stop, because, the economy just stops in general, as you can't just ship goods from overseas, whatever. And then here we go, small cap growth versus value, breaking down again, more new lows. I'm telling you, this thing, dangerous territory here. Be careful with your shit growth on the long side. Meta, man, how about it? They had a court ruling this week. They're liable for damages for people being addicted to social media. So that's terrible news for them. Probably going to be more of that coming, more lawsuits coming down the pipe. And you can see on a relative basis versus the indices, massive fake breakout of the 2016 high. This thing has lagged the NASDAQ 100 since late 2015, not good. Massive top here, starting to break down again. And eventually, so it's like, man, this Meta is just toxic asset. You don't want really anything to do with it. Here's Meta versus the S&P 500. Appears to be losing that top, that range from 2020, that old high zone. And another top. And if this is the stuff that's telling us to get away from the internet index, get away from the internet index, because there is going to be, it appears, destruction there. And then we've got MicroStrategy. Interesting. So I just wanted to point this one out. You get the bearish MACD cross here, and this moving average divergence has worked out over the past couple weeks, but now that's kind of completely reset. So it would not be shocking to see just back to the low like early next week. It would not. But you're trying to find something to buy. Well, how about Natera? I don't know. It's healthcare. They say we're going to have some healthcare hold up. I don't feel great about that. Not in this tape. You think the industry full of fraud is going to be the safe place to go hang out? That seems not accurate, but 183, the zone right here, big time extension level out of a prior base. So, here you go. This is a decent one. I mean, RSI is hanging in there. Not a ton of volume this week either. How about it? A lot less volume this week on this selling. So could be sellers drying up, and, not too bad. And then, but here's an interesting thing. We're getting closer to the SpaceX IPO. And every time there's a headline, SpaceX is going public at a 1.5 trillion valuation, or they're going to drop the IPO, they're pumping these space stocks. And it's weird, because when you get into, when SpaceX does file for this IPO, like it's going to be terrible. The S1, you're going to look into the financials. You're going to be like, oh my God, they're losing how much money on every launch, right? So it's just not something to be excited about. It's actually something to be fearful of, I think. So Rocket Lab, really tight consolidation since what? really late January and just now breaking down after that pump the other day. Interesting. So I got bought one of these little ETFs, RKLZ, levered little junk fund, whatever. 200 days right here. But if you just zoom out, you're looking more like maybe 38, 39, something like that in the coming weeks. So, just another one to watch out for. And then short term, here's Vanguard growth versus value. Again, we're talking about this growth de-risking, and maybe there's a few days of selling early next week and before it stabilizes again. Well, you got an interesting little spot there on a short-term basis for one or two more days of selling. And then the staples, you did get the big relative fake breakdown here. So, maybe it stalls out for a little bit here early next week. But net, bigger picture, risk off remains. And then, my God, the oil producers, worst chart in the book, right? I mean, in terms of if you're not exposed to it, because check this out. You completed the decade-long base here, and now what's the reason to not be long? There is none, except for it's gone up in a straight line, and nobody wants to chase it. Apparently, short interest in XLE is actually at the highs. So that's it's pretty brutal stuff. And yeah, so I don't know what else we got going on here today. A lot of selling. We've got, All right, let's dig into some airlines here. Airline index, man, had a little positive divergence there earlier this week and just right back to the lows, which reminds me, financials. The financials relative strength was working all week. There's actually a positive MACD here, but still doesn't matter. New lows, just negative. Yeah, losing 2.5% today. Oh, that's not great. There's just nothing good here. Nothing good. Did want to bring up biotech. Looks like a giant rounding top. Now I'm a big, you get these rounding top looks, and then they would break higher, and then you want to hammer it long. So I've been pretty much on the bearish side, as there's just been endless distribution here since December. But you get through yesterday's high here, 126. All right, now we're starting to talk on the long side. We'll see if it occurs. We'll see if it happens. It's nice and uncorrelated to a lot of stuff, right? But it's just they are risk assets, and they're going to get thrown in with the risk assets. So tend to think it might actually be a top this time. We'll see. Let's see. What else we got here? Oh, the cyber stocks. Did you guys hear about so Anthropic, they now have a cybersecurity product. And we got to talk about this. Like the cybersecurity, like these guys, all these VCs, OpenAI, Anthropic, they're going to tell you everything because they're trying to raise money at a $1 trillion valuation. All these firms are like ready for their exits. They're not going to be like straight up with you. They're going to say, if the market's going to react to every time they say, well, we're going to disrupt this industry, we're going to disrupt that industry, they're going to keep saying it, especially until they get public, right? So, market's jittery. That's what they do. Saw CrowdStrike sold off pretty hard today. These stocks are just very expensive in the first place. So, nothing to really work with here. Not really. Micron, looking rough. Big fake breakout there, but some support around. But in the pre-market, 366. They had a lot of sellers around 366 in the pre-market. Some wicks. Looks like that held. So very much at risk of going lower still. What's a winner? What we got winning today? The gold miners. Let's go. Yeah, not much to work with here at the moment. Gold. It's not going down. So there's that. The week you had a nice bounce off the 200 day, freaking hanging in here around the January panic low. I don't know. I think they're going to just keep using it as a source of funds for now, but it's tough. It is tough out here. XME, industrial metals, let's go. Oh, look at that. More sellers popping up. This is kind of where we want to be. I did buy and bail on this commercial metals. The whole idea was CMC was like a European steel play, and you do want to, European steel, Poland operations. That's a good spot to be, but the problem is they're also like we're we're selling into data centers. They were really excited to talk about that on their call, and if the data center trade is on the way out, yeah, that's a problem. So I punted on that guy. We got nickel. How's nickel looking? Hanging in there around the 200-day, kind of rejected. Aero Copper, that big breakout back test. Look at that thing. Look at that thing. I did buy it last week, and we'll see. We'll see. Big zone. We think the copper is going to be okay, but it's pretty unknowable at this point, right? I think the Iranians, they pretty much just want to get paid at this point a lot, and then tell the world to go fuck themselves to an extent. And then when do they punt on it? Who the hell knows? All right, let's look at the low volatility stocks. Oh my God, look at that. Just ugly give back. You're looking at possible fake breakout longer term, messy stuff. Oof. Real estate. What a mess. Another one. What are you going to do with it? Big fake breakout. Struggling hard here. Yeah, we've got ARK down 4%. This thing is very broken, just as you'd expect in this kind of growth getting sold type of market. All right, let's look at defense. How's defense doing? Yeah, closing in on support. How about it? Not too bad. Look at that. Getting kind of interesting. Go to missile interceptors next, I would say. Level 3 Harris. LHX. Ooh, sloppy. How about Leonardo? Kind of sloppy. What do we got here? Which one? Man, there's not. Oh, here we go. Northrop. If it's not Northrop, it's not nothing. Ooh. Pretty rough. Yeah. Looking like pretty much a general risk off type of vibe here. Yeah, we'll see. It's going to take a little bit here. I think everyone's been kind of hoping, kind of planning for it to be okay. And I don't know what's going on in the private equity, the private credit. Maybe people have just been jamming their portfolios with risk, buying every single dip and hoping it works out because that was your Hail Mary shot. Kind of seems like that's what's going on. Kind of seems like it's not working. What do you think? And you go around here, there's just, what do we think about Bloom? We've got a big potential topping look there. I mean, it is the data center trade. Microgrids, you're going to want more microgrids pretty quickly here. But yeah, a lot of sellers up here. So do we just go back to the bottom of the range, get around to this 200-day? It could be. Then the utilities. Oh man, Jesus, these utilities holding the 50-day. Some of the nuclear utes hanging in there, hanging tough. Vistra, look at this little weekly bullish divergence trying to form here. Is that what is going to happen? It looks like shit, to be honest. It's sloppy. Just the market sucks. All the good stuff, all that good stuff here. Damn. Look at the XLK breaking the fuck down with NVIDIA. Wow. Yeah, that's toast. That's looking, well, maybe not. You zoom it out, it seems a lot more like it could do like a V, right? You get to a point where the bonds are broken, which let's take a look at the bonds. How's the treasury bonds doing? Kind of back to the bottom of the range. They're trying to diverge here. All these different, your BND, your total bond market, they're trying to diverge on these lows. People are buying them because of safety or whatever. Junk bonds, again, trying to diverge. They've been doing it, but it's a bidless tape. tough. But we go to international bonds. What do we have in the international? Again, trying to diverge, but it's just so bidless. Look how bidless this thing was. My God, just nothing there. They're screwed. The global economy is screwed, apparently, is the deal here. And yeah, does the analysis really need to go past that? Good question. Good question. Probably not. Not at the moment. Latin America, we do like it. You want to buy the pullback? Probably at some point, but not now. Not now. Give it a little bit more, I would say. Get around 30. That's a interesting long-term ad, right? Geez, how's the homies? My homies still. Oh my God, did they go up this week? They're flat on. Yeah, they're up this week. Hell yeah. How about it? How about it? We've got UMWC, freaking, they're just mortgages. Yeah, hanging in there at the bottom of the range, no doubt. Rocket, how's Rocket looking? Oof. That's not done. They've got some bad paper there. Let me tell you, these Rocket Mortgage types, these guys, very, very aggressive. Wouldn't be surprised if there's more, a lot more downside there. Yeah, that's not a good one. But U-Haul hanging in there. Paychecks, they noted that small business actually doing fine. They just still struggling with finding talent, right? They're still just trying to find qualified workers, and they can't right now for obvious reasons. So kind of like that one. Let's see. What do we got? Something ripping. What's good, doing good today other than energy? Oh, you know what? Speaking of energy, did want to shout out ConocoPhillips. Check this guy out. Check this out. This is about the best. You're looking, oh my God, I have no energy exposure. But I need energy exposure because it's broken out. It's not going to stop going up. Well, Conoco, here we go. Top of the range from 2022 here. But look at that. Nice little 20 years of base on base. So, can't stress too much. There's always going to be opportunities. Comstock, interesting. Natural gas, levered up natural gas name. Jerry Jones, kind of interesting. Kind of wedged up here. Going to break higher? Maybe. It's a nice comeback. Hell yeah. Now we're talking. You get into these materials names, the chart book just got so much better. Then coal, Core Natural. Check this out. Had this little range here, 75 to 105 ish. So 30 points. You're looking for like 130s in this stock, something like that. Trying to break this continuation little range higher here. Not too shabby. Apparently coal is going to be it. So hell yeah. Let's see. What else do we have in coal? Alpha Metallurgical. That's steel making. Here's another thermal coal. Yeah, BTU. I don't know. Not for me. And then what else we have here? Aperion. My God. Core Labs. Okay. Oil services. How's the oil services looking at this point? Not too bad. Okay. But the OIH, hey, look at that. It went down for 2 weeks because they were blowing the shit out of all the energy infrastructure. And as soon as they say, okay, we'll stop. Look at this thing back at the new highs. Very interesting. So do we want the services or do we want the producers? What do you think? Looks like oil services. Interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of work to be done to get this oil out of the sea. No doubt about it. Halliburton. Interesting. If you price only, yeah, looks pretty sporty. Man, that precision drilling just keeps drilling away here at gains. 120 coming. Looks like it, at least. What a chart. What a looker. Oh my God. I missed Argan Energy Infrastructure Construction. Wow. Plus 38% today. Interesting. Wow. They're a big data center play, obviously, and just everything around the reindustrialization of America. Wow. Didn't see that one coming. That's pretty good. And then a lot of people are excited about solar now that there's energy disruption. I wouldn't bite on that one. Solar, we've liked solar because one, the Trump administration, people get all bearish solar because, oh, Trump, he hates, green energy, whatever. That was a nice little sentiment unwind. And then, yeah, we do need all of the different energy sources, but the thing about solar is it's just not the energy density you need for like building ships and building shit and like reindustrialization and energy infrastructure, right? You need the coal, you need the oil, you need the gas. It's just an energy density, a matter of energy density, right? Speaking of lithium, man, lithium stock's moving. SQM, that held up longer term. Oh God. Yeah, held up above that 65 pivot, and what? There's pretty much nothing till 100 plus over here. No doubt about that. All right, man. Got like hundreds of stocks down 4% today. We've seen bigger lists, but pretty nasty. Coinbase getting smoked. Oof. Not great. And then we've got software back at major support. I don't know what to tell you guys about this one. A lot of support around, not chasing the sale, but could it just be dead? Yup. Camtek. So this is memory equipment. Basically the equipment that makes the memory chips. And check this guy out. Man, this thing is just nasty reversal. Kind of stopped going up a while ago. So just another piece of evidence suggesting this memory trade, this AI data center trade is kind of really struggling here. Let's look at Palo Alto. Oh, back at the 200-week moving average, it had kind of this dead man's kind of volumeless rally into the 50-day old resistance right back there. Interesting, a little bit of pickup in volume today, but yeah, I just think it's going to go lower in time. Whether it goes lower in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that, sure. I mean, the timing is always the hardest part, right? But Microsoft, interesting. The thing with the OpenAI punting on that video is like this changes the profitability equation, like from the worst you could ever imagine, unprofitable, to okay, now this gets more interesting. And you can see 350, 345, somewhere around here. Very interesting. You are losing that 200-week moving average, but honestly, like it's all close enough in the zone. And we'll wrap up with some consumer here. XLY looking rough. RSPD, consumer discretionary, losing the previous low here today. Man, that's it's going to bleed out. That gas prices are going up. So speaking of, let's see, how high are we talking here? Oh, okay. So we're going to be pushing pre-great financial crisis levels pretty soon here, probably next week. Yeah, we had a nice lid. We had a nice thing going here. They're grinding lower, and now God knows what's coming. God knows what's coming down the pipe. Let's see. But let's see. Airbnb, what do we got? Breaking down, middle of the range, middle of no man's range. So whatever. Nike. Oh, another low zone to shoot against. Boy, those have all failed for so long. Looking rough. Home Depot, what do you think? Yeah, these lows is that's pretty gnarly. You could say, hey, it'll hold up here, but if it doesn't, my God, who knows what happens if it doesn't? This thing could be getting halved at least. Yeah, so definitely want to be mindful of that. Let's see, we got drones, Kratos. Yeah, getting close to old support. Not too bad. Going to be some more selling in the space group, but could be worse. And Kava was looking good for a minute there. It's still okay versus 70 or so. This little pullback, interesting. Gonna have to add this one to the list. Hey, there's a 50-day moving average, something like this. Probably needs some time, but it's on the list, no doubt about it. While we're looking restaurants, oh, Chipotle, yeah, they're screwed. They've got problems. Then, oh, let's look at Capital One. Is this thing at support yet? Nope. Nope, not yet. Boy. Yeah, it's pretty rough out here. I don't know what to tell you guys. It's dangerous times out here. So, we'll see how the week plays out early next week. But trade safe, friends. Until next time, y'all have a great day.